the defense.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Blue Review. I'm Parker Bell alongside Greg Bergman, and of course, special guest Noah Cameras joins us yet again. We're excited to have you on. How are you doing today after that big W last night, courtesy of Jay Hay?
Yeah, doing great. I mean, I think Greg and I were just talking that's a game that they don't usually win, for the last couple months. So it's nice to see them kind of get those 6 unanswered, bullpen pitch well, and the big pinch hit home run. So how can you not be feeling good on this? What is it? Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I'm losing track of days all the time now. So you're right, though. Big win. We hadn't seen stuff like that in a while, so it's exciting to see. So we got a lot to get into, including, Walker's performance. So we're going to get into that as well. But the positives first. But before we get into anything, I want to remind everyone that here at the Blue Review, we're presented by LAX, our friends at Los Angeles International Airport. Changes are arriving daily, saving traffic, just, saving guest time. Great stuff over there at LAX. So if you want to learn more, you can check it out at flylax.com/transforminglax. And they got cool hats. So shout out to LAX. All right, well, I'm going to send it over to you two to get into last night's reactions. Greg, what did you see just overall from the offense? Because I know you're huge on this lineup.
Yeah, I am very high on this lineup now. How can you not be? Especially if you can put Kevin Kiermaier at center and then you move Edman over into that shortstop position, your defense still stays spectacular. It's really nice to see all those things. So it's nice that this lineup is really putting together. But Noah, you said it. This was a team that was not winning these games for the last few weeks. They would get, if you're down 3-0 at some point, at any point in the game, it felt like these were losses. So to be able to go through that, and even we'll get to Walker Buehler in a little bit, I felt really, really good about how the offense just found their way back in. And I think Jay Hay is really, really fighting for that last playoff spot.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing, that the competition internally of fighting for roster spots. I think there's two things. One, everyone's been talking about it the last few years. Like, the Dodgers have not really played competitive baseball in September. Obviously, there was the 2021 with the Giants. But aside from that, they've had these massive leads where they're not playing competitively. So one, they're trying to win a division right now against the Padres and Diamondbacks. But two, they have all these position players now fighting for roster spots. So that internal competition, I think, is just as important as the external competition, which is, I think, making these players play even better. And then you're seeing Jason Hayward hit these pinch hit 3-run home runs and kind of change the complexion of the game.
Yeah. So when we get to the postseason, it's going to start being interesting. I know this is a little ways away, but these are things that Dave and Andrew are all thinking about right now. You can't bring everybody along with you. I think for the most part, the main guys are the main guys and they're all going to stay. But then it's going to come down to you probably only have one spot, or one of these guys have to go. Kike, Taylor, Jay Hay. And I don't think it's going to be Kevin Kiermaier. I don't think you can possibly get rid of Kevin Kiermaier. So it's one of those three. One of those three are essentially going to have to go. Which way do you think they're going to go with that?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are praying that one of them gets hurt. Obviously not get real hurt, but praying that it's an IL situation, that they don't have to make that decision, because, the Dodgers do love their kind of nostalgic players, and all three of those are those guys. I think if I'm making the decision today, it's hard to trust Chris Taylor considering what he's done this season. Obviously playing a little better before he got hurt, but it's kind of hard to trust him. But of course, they're going to give him an opportunity to see a month. And based on what I've seen right now, I can't really imagine Kike getting that postseason roster spot. Here's the thing. Kike has that clutch gene. He's come up in the postseason before, but they value his versatility, but he's worse defensively than Tommy Edman. I can't ever imagine a situation where Tommy Edman would sit for Kike, just because Edman's a better defender. He's a switch hitter. He's fast. He has all the versatility. So then it's kind of redundant of having Kike on the roster. And as of now, he's struggling. He's 4 for his last 24. He's in 167. His ops in that time is under 400. So it's just like, there's no point of keeping Kike when he's never going to play over Tommy Edman.
So you're saying, you keep Taylor and Jay Hay and get rid of Kike?
Right now, assuming Chris Taylor comes back and looks okay, obviously it's hard to know what Chris Taylor is going to look like.
Sure.
If Chris Taylor's just totally struggling and can't find his swing, I feel like that's the obvious answer, because you're not going to have Chris Taylor on the roster if he can't hit. So, but giving Taylor the benefit of the doubt of coming back, having a month and maybe hitting, and they love his postseason clutch gene and everything like that.
Right.
Then I think Kike has to be the answer, because I just can't imagine, his defense isn't good enough to justify playing him anywhere over Tommy Edman.
So that's where it's kind of confusing. I actually semi disagree with you. I don't like to disagree with my helpful guests, but I think Kike is too versatile to be taking off. He is more of the utility man. He can play in every single position outside of catcher. He can even put him to pitch late in games if you really needed to. But Chris Taylor, I don't think. I mean, unless he comes back and he's scorching hot and just destroying baseballs, they're the same guy. Those two are the same guy to me, Chris Taylor and Kike Hernandez, but Kike plays more positions. So if you want to have, and he played a very good third base. He did a great job at first base when he had to fill in there. I just don't see how Kike is the one that goes in all of this. And Chris Taylor seems to be the guy on the way out, because no matter how you feel about Jay, having a guy off the bench that can come up and hit a right-hander and just destroy or left-hander and destroy a baseball, that's not a lot of guys that can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that Jay is going to be on that roster at this point, assuming health and everything. I also totally agree with you that Kevin Kiermaier has to be on that roster. I'm pretty convinced that as of right now, he would be their starting center fielder in a game one of a playoff game, just considering how deep their lineup is, and they can kind of waste that ninth hole spot on a less bat, even though he's actually hitting really well for the Dodgers right now. So yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely Kike or Chris Taylor. Yeah, the only reason I go Kike right now is just because I haven't seen Chris Taylor, and I want to kind of give him that opportunity. And I just know that Kike's struggling right now. But again, I don't think either of them. I would hope that neither of them has that big of a role. I can't imagine either of them being in a starting lineup, no matter what hand the pitcher's throwing. Just considering Tommy Edman's versatility as a switch hitter, and I don't think the Dodgers would put Kike at third base over Max Muncy against a left-hander, just because of how good Max Muncy is. And, you put him in the 7 hole and he now has back-to-back home runs in his first 2 games back. So again, I don't think it's going to, I mean, again, they have a month to make that decision. And
yes,
an injury is probably going to happen and make it an easier decision for them anyway, because that's how this Dodgers team's going this year. But yeah, between Kike and Chris, I don't think they can go wrong either way, because the hope is neither of them have that big of a role anyway.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's going to be interesting the way that it all goes. And yes, it could be either one of them. I feel like Kike is probably the right answer at this point for me. But all right, let's go to the part that is just the most difficult of all of it. By the way, I just want to say that I am still very positive about this team. I still love I love the lineup, how it's shaping out now with Edman and Muncy back. It really makes a huge difference. I'm actually pretty high on the pitching staff right now outside of Walker Buehler, and we're going to talk about him in just a second. And I really like how the bullpen is starting to shape up as well. I'm still a little bit terrified of Daniel Hudson, and he probably needs to go on an IL stint. But when Blake Trinan comes back today, and if he's pitching well, you're really starting to see some of those pieces that are going to be very, very good in the bullpen. So before we get to Walker Buehler, how are you feeling about all those kinds of things?
I'm with you. I mean, last time I was here, we talked about, Michael Kopech going to the closer role, Evan Phillips kind of being in that fireman role. And those pieces are kind of starting to be put in place by Dave Roberts. I mean, obviously Michael Kopech's having a little fatigue, so he's not pitching this series, but, Daniel Hudson kind of eked it out on Tuesday yesterday to get that win. I mean, it was close. I mean, he definitely got some help on the bases by
and bad replays. Jesus, a bad replay.
I know what was going on.
Everything.
I mean, literally New York was just like, I think they went to sleep and they just kind of faked doing those replays.
Just stick whatever you called on the field. It's
literally,
fine.
it was weird. That was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like how the bullpen is shaping up, especially if Blake Trinan, looks like how he did, kind of before he had that little struggles and then went on the IL. I mean, they definitely have the pieces. They have the left-handers who are pitching well. So the bullpen is looking good for sure. And, you have to imagine that one of these starting pitchers, assuming everyone's healthy, is going to move into the bullpen, and then you'll kind of have another X factor there. So the bullpen looks good. I'm with you. I love how this lineup looks right now. I mean,
it's amazing.
The depth of this lineup, offensively and defensively, is pretty insane. And then, just the pitching staff. If Glasnow and Yamamoto are healthy, then Glasnow, Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, 1, 2, 3. That's a really good rotation in a postseason game.
Yeah, and then it goes into either Clayton Kershaw or Gavin Stone, who looked really good 2 times out now again. So you have 5 options there. So that leads me to my next point. Walker Buehler. I personally, and I've been getting killed for it on social media, don't think that you can put Walker Buehler out again. He cannot have one more start with this team. With the way that this is all shaping up and you're in a tight playoff race, you cannot allow a guy to go out there and throw 60 pitches in 3 innings, give up 6 or 7 hits, have no strikeouts, 3 walks, and 3 runs. And it could have very easily been more. That the stuff is just not there. The location is just not there. The control is just not there. It's not winning baseball to continue putting out Walker Buehler. To me, that doesn't mean DFA him if that's what happened. Put him on the 60-day IL and figure out what you want to do in the offseason. He's not going to be on the postseason roster. He's not going to be a bullpen piece in the postseason. So it's completely all worthless there. He is someone that you cannot put out there anymore because it's just losing baseball. To me, how do you feel?
I don't disagree with you in the sense that putting him out there is definitely a risk. I do think, and again, this was I feel like yesterday was the game where it's like you're playing the Mariners. This is one of the worst offenses in baseball. Like this is going to be the time that we see Walker Buehler look like Walker Buehler. And then he didn't. I mean, he got those 2 quick outs in the first inning, and then he started giving up base runners. I did see some positives in Walker Buehler. The velocity's up, and the secondary pitches are looking better. The only problem is he doesn't have a put away pitch right now. He's getting to these 0-2 counts, and then he's not able to put away these bats.
And then walking guys.
And he's walking guys. Yeah, I mean, he gave up 7 hits, 3 walks. He had 1 strikeout. I mean, obviously, the fact that he only gave up 3 runs was, like you said, kind of a miracle, just considering how much traffic was on the bases for the Mariners in those first 4 innings. With all that being said, I do think the Dodgers will give him one more opportunity, and I do think
no.
I know. And the thing is, usually I'm not on that boat. Like especially they only have a 3-game lead in the division. Like everything points to them not giving him another opportunity. But I do think he's going to get one more opportunity, and I do think in this moment with Glasnow and Yamamoto not back yet, the Dodgers do need starting pitchers. I mean, Flaherty is healthy, Kershaw's healthy, Stone is healthy. And then after that, it's like, now what? I mean, Bobby Miller is still on the roster. He looked even worse than Walker Buehler.
Yeah, he doesn't look good
either.
either.
They did just call up Ben Kasparius. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to let him start a game. Like, in this moment, they literally don't have 5 starting pitchers. So, and I know they have Wrobleski and Knack, who are currently in AAA. Now they can come back if Buehler goes on the IL. But I just think the Dodgers want to see at least one more start to see what they have in Buehler. And yeah, I don't think he's going to factor into the postseason rotation or really the postseason roster. But I do think he looked a little better on Tuesday with some of this stuff. And if he could just work on getting that put away pitch in the next 5 days, then I think his start's going to look a lot better than, 4, 7 hits, 3 earned runs.
Look, maybe, and it could have been a lot worse. Maybe, yes. You could be right, and they probably will give him another one. I don't agree. I don't think you should. Right now, you have a 3-game lead on the Padres and a 4-game lead on the Diamondbacks. If anything starts to happen where they lose a couple of games and they're right there, are you feeling comfortable with Walker Buehler trying to hold on to a 1-game lead?
I mean, not even a little bit. But also,
but do you think the Dodgers would put him out there with a 1-game lead?
I mean, as of right now, who else are they going to put out there? I would feel less confident with Bobby Miller in that game in a 1-game lead. So it's like
send Bobby. He has options. Send Bobby back down. Bring up Wrobleski. Do something like have that back and forth with Wrobleski and Knack. And Knack has actually looked good. Wrobleski didn't look great in his last start, but it's better than what we've been seeing out there. Yet you feel like you have a chance to win. I don't know. Look, Walker Buehler, there's nothing about what I saw from him last night that I felt confident in. It was a consistent. He did get to 0-2. The only pitch that I saw that semi worked for him that I saw was the curveball. Yeah, you can't keep throwing the curveball over and over again. People will just be waiting on it, and that's when he gets blasted. And when they were hitting him, they weren't hitting home runs, but they were hitting doubles, and they were hitting him, and they were hitting him hard.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I think the Dodgers would love to have, that 8-game lead back and let Buehler kind of work through this and see what happens. Since they don't have it, there is a little more urgency. I mean, if River Ryan didn't get hurt, I think it's very clear that Walker Buehler will not be on the roster anymore. But I just think where they're at right now with the lack of depth, until Glasnow and Yamamoto come back, they are looking for starting pitchers. And obviously he didn't give them 5 innings yesterday, but if he can figure out how to get to 5 innings and 3 earned runs, that's enough of a start where this lineup was able to come back, and they faced a really good pitcher. So the fact they were able to get to the bullpen is kind of what you expected anyway. So I don't know. I'm definitely with you where they can't trust Walker Buehler right now, but I definitely think he'll get at least one more start, and then it gets to December, and then you can see what happens. But I thought yesterday had a few signs where there could be some small tweaks that hopefully could get him to a place where he's closer to average.
Yeah, there's these small tweaks have been going on for the entire season. He's gone up, he's gone down. I think that was his 10th start, and it has not been. I think he had one good start out of all of that.
Yeah, it was one when he went 6 innings of scoreless, and that was it.
Yeah, that was he had a good start this season. There's been nothing that he's seen, and I'm going to even go further back. He hasn't had a good start, like consistent good starts since probably 2021, 2020, 2021 when the time when the sticky stuff went away, Walker Buehler went away. And that's just how it is. And unfortunately, he just has never been able to figure it out since then. Yes, he had the injuries. Yes, he's coming back off of the Tommy John and all those other things. But even before the Tommy John surgery, he was not looking good because he didn't have that sticky stuff anymore. And he was probably the pitcher. I mean, I don't follow enough of the other teams and as closely in all the pitchers to see, but probably one of the highest usages that a pitcher had out there with that stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a good point. It's not like right before he got hurt, he was looking like the Walker Buehler of old. Right. I mean, he struggled. He definitely had the injury, so it didn't help in 2022. But yeah, I mean, 2 years gone, comes back. He's not looking like himself. And I mean, honestly, the biggest question, not even about this year, is like, what is his market going to look like in this offseason? I mean, I'm very curious to see what that looks like because the Dodgers aren't going to pay him, obviously. And can't imagine another team paying him based on what he's looked like these last few years. So that's going to be weird.
Right, and that's part of it too. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but if you DFA him, he may not even get picked up. He may clear waivers, and you can put him in the minor league system and get through it. That's a possibility. That could actually happen. I don't know that. Obviously, they're not going to do the whole DFA thing, but because of who he is and his name is Walker Buehler, if his name didn't say Buehler on the back, he'd be nowhere near this. You wouldn't continue to be putting him out there with how he's been looking. So that's where I get a little bit caught up. I don't really truly believe in legacy contracts and all those things. I don't think that you should do that. You should especially with this team trying to win a World Series right now and trying to win a World Series for the next few years. I don't bring a guy back and can keep putting him out there just because of what his name is. You have to be somebody that is helping this team move forward and helping this team get to the postseason and helping them win a World Series. I just don't see how Walker Buehler is that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you there. I mean, I definitely agree with you there. And again, for me, it's definitely a start by start basis with him. I'm just not ready to pull the plug yet on Buehler. I definitely want to see one more from him.
It's sentimental. It's all sentimental. And that's totally
it probably
fine.
Is a little bit. I mean, it probably is a little bit, but again, for me, it's more need. And it's like, I think until, again, I've said it a few times, but until Glasnow and Yamamoto come back, like they do need starting pitchers. And I do, just based on what we've seen from Buehler, I do have a little bit of hope in him. And again, he's throwing almost 97 on the fastball. Like the secondary pitchers are looking good. Like you said, the curveball has looked good. So like he's showing signs, and it's just, can he put it all together and have that put away pitch in one start where it's like, okay, at least that's going to help the Dodgers win.
Sure. Okay. But we're also going against the most inept team in all of Major League Baseball.
Which is also a huge problem.
Which is a massive problem, right?
Yes.
So we can move on. We can go into what Jack Flaherty is going to look like tonight. So Jack Flaherty has come up and he's been giving up runs more so than he ever did in Detroit, and that was kind of the worry that I was having a little bit. He still looks good. He still looks like he's an ace pitcher. He's a very, very strong pitcher, but that was kind of my worry in bringing in Flaherty here, is that when he got to the Orioles last year, he was absolutely god awful. And he's not doing that here, but you're starting to see signs of guys are starting to hit him. What are you seeing out of Flaherty? And do they look like fixable mistakes? And do you think he should be okay moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest issue right now with Flaherty is the home run ball. I mean, he's given up 2 in each of his last 2 starts, and that's pretty much been all the runs. So I think a home run ball is a fixable issue because he wasn't doing that in Detroit. So I do think that's a fixable thing. I mean, he has amazing stuff. I mean, he has like 24.
It's great.
Through his first 3 starts. I mean, he's been really, really good in that sense. He's giving them length, which is something that the Dodgers don't usually have. And yeah, I mean, it's just the home runs. So, I mean, hopefully the Dodgers have been working on something with that to kind of limit those mistake pitches because, that's how he gave up 4 earned runs in his second start and whatever. But between the length, between the strikeout stuff, between, finishing off batters like that, I think he's looked good. And I think he's definitely someone you trust right now in a game 3 of a postseason, which is where they would need him with Tyler and Yamamoto. So I think that's kind of a perfect spot for him. And all he has to do is limit those home runs. And all of a sudden he's putting up 1 earned run, 6 innings, things like that.
So this is one that you kind of feel like you're facing the Mariners, a team that is just, they're awful offensively. It's really shocking how bad their offense is and how good their pitching is.
I know.
Their pitching is phenomenal.
Insane.
They have like one of the best ERAs and the worst OPSs. It's just, it's crazy how it's all working out like that. And they're still fighting for that playoff spot. But either way, this seems like a good space for Flaherty to get out there and just be like, look, this is my stuff again. I want you to see what I look like on a regular basis. Kind of like what Gavin Stone did.
I was about to say Jack Flaherty today should look like Gavin Stone on Monday. Give you 6-7 innings. I mean, he could easily punch out 8 to 10, and there's a very good chance he puts up a 0 considering how horrible this Mariners offense has looked. I mean, even if he gives up 1 run, you hope it's not on a solo home run. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely kind of that game for Flaherty to kind of, I think for him, kind of get that confidence of like, okay, like I maybe, I had a couple bad starts with the Dodgers. I mean, not even bad. He just kind of gave up a couple home runs, but this is kind of his time to put that flag down of, I'm at Dodger Stadium. I'm in front of that crowd. Like, I'm going to have a really good start. I'm going to get that standing ovation, and I'm going to kind of take that momentum into this, last month of the season where I'm not going to be relied to be a number 1 starter because Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Clayton Kershaw is looking like he's looking like he never got hurt, and he's all of a sudden the best pitcher in baseball again. I mean, like it's amazing what Clayton Kershaw is doing right now. So yeah, I think for Flaherty, this is a kind of the perfect start to really cement his status and be like, the Dodgers got a really good one at the trade deadline.
So, I mean, obviously Kershaw is still coming off his first big time injury, but
yeah.
How he's looked and what he's been doing is just, it has been phenomenal. You're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is he's pitching, like, and he's finding his spots. He's hitting his spots. He even said after, he's like, look, I know how to get guys out. It doesn't have to be with speed. It's very much the Greg Maddux way. And if he can be anywhere close to that, this is what the plan always made sense to every single person. I'm sure it made sense to you too. Yep. You missed the first half of the season. Don't come back until July or August. He came back in July, and then have what you normally do at the first half of the season in the second half of the season when it matters. And it seems like that's kind of what's happening, and that could also extend his career.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Like, you just don't. Who was it? Was it Schilling that used to do that? So you can do that for him next year. He can come back next year and be that pitcher, the 3-4 guy, when he's coming back in July next year.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about, like, you want like something like 100 innings from Clayton Kershaw. When do you want him? Do you want him in April, May, and June?
Right.
Do you want him in August, September, and October? And, I mean, Clayton Kershaw, this is going to be a really interesting opportunity for him to, and everyone says he can't pitch in the postseason. Well, what if he's only doing it after having thrown, 60 innings, in the regular season? I mean, he's going to be pretty healthy going into the postseason. And I think people forget last year, before he got hurt, he was like a leading NL Cy Young candidate.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking so good last year before he went on the IL. So now he's just doing that, like you said, in August and September, as opposed to doing it in April and May. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing that he can do this, and it's amazing that he can find a way to get batters out. And on the other hand, like you said, like, this is a very interesting way for him to continue playing a few more years of just playing in the second half, and all of a sudden turning into one of the best pitchers in baseball in August and September when the Dodgers need him. And it's going to be a really interesting decision. I mean, I know he has the player option for next year, but it's like, how much longer can he do this? And as of right now, he's pitching like he has multiple years left in him.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it looks like. And it's great to see. And we only have a couple of seconds left. I really just want to get this in here. I know, Parker, we're getting close to Travis and Sliwa, but Roy Estrada in the chat said something that I really like. So in like 30 seconds, would you consider moving Muncy and Edman up and switch Teo and Smith?
interesting. I mean, I think there's also a case to move up Gavin Lux. For now, I think Max Muncy is the one who should move up. I just think to get him maybe in that 5 hole, I think is a perfect spot. Edmund, I kind of like the back of the lineup because I kind of like him turning the lineup over.
Yep.
And I'll go
there. Yeah, and also I feel Teo has to stay in that 4 spot. I think you just want to keep putting him on there so he can keep it going. But all right, that's all the time we got. Tell us where we can find all your stuff, Noah. And thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, the best is just the Twitter or the X at Noah Cameras, and then you can read me over at Newsweek. You can read me at Dodgers Nation. But yeah, mostly just Twitter. I'll be giving all those Dodger tweets.
Yeah, you got some great tweets. So thank you very much. For Parker Bell and Noah Cameras, thank you very much for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 to 9:55, right here on the ESPN YouTube channel. Stay tuned for Travis and Sliwa. Thanks, guys. Thanks, LAX.